Welcome to the lair of the Batty Boffin.
Hi there Batty fans, welcome to the series of videos all about equations. Now in this series here we're going to start off from simple equations and we're going to kind of work our way up. We're not going to be covering quadratics in this, so if you need quadratic equations go and check out the Batty Boffin playlist called quadratics. But otherwise, here we go. We're going to start off today by doing some two-layer equations, and we're going to use these kind of box machine type of things. In other videos later on we'll do them by the balancing, which is the same maths, it's just written out differently. So here I've got a kind of machine. You put things in at this end and they go through this first box that does something to them. This one does a times by 3, and then it goes through another box that does something to it. This one does an add 4, and it comes out the end. Okay, so let's look at what happens when we put a number in. Let's say we put 5. We put 5 into the first box and pretty obviously 15 comes out. And then we put that through the second box and what comes out the end is 19. Okay, now that's pretty easy. Let's see what happens when we put an X in there. Okay, we're going to put X in at the end. By the way, you've probably seen mathematicians tend to write their X's like that. The reason is because if you write it like a normal crisscross, it looks like a times. So if you're not used to writing curly X's, I would suggest you try to get used to it, because otherwise there is going to be confusion and you are going to write a times and again and not know whether it's a times or an X. So here we go with an X. You can use any letter, of course, but X is kind of traditional. Okay, when you put X into the first box, what comes out of it? Well, X times by 3, hopefully you will recognise that as 3x. If you don't know what that means, then check out some of the earlier Batty Boffin videos on things like simplifying algebra, where we'll talk about expressions like 3x, which means 3 times x. If there's no symbol between them, it's times. Okay? So assuming you're happy with that, 3x then goes into the next box, and that comes out as 3x plus 4. Okay, a nice mathematical expression. So what we're doing here is we're using these boxes to construct a mathematical expression that you might find in an equation. Now an equation obviously has got to have an equals in it. That's why it's called an equation. So let's have something like 3x plus 4 equals, let's have 19. We had that last time. And I know you know what the answer is, but let's just work it through and see how it works. Okay? So remember when we did it with the numbers, we came out at 19. Okay? Here we've got 3x plus 4. So what I'm saying is that the 3x plus 4 is 19. So let's just feed that back and see what happens. So what we're doing is like flicking the machine into reverse. So it goes in through this one that we did second, we're now doing first. And instead of being an add 4, because it's running backwards, it's now a minus 4. Okay? 19 minus 4, that gives us 15. And now it's running through what was the first part of the machine, but now we're doing it second. And because we're running it backwards, it's not a times by 3, that's now a divided by 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. X equals 5. And we know that's right because that's what we started with. So what this does, this machine, it tells us that if you're given something like 3x plus 4 equals 19, you can put it through the machine backwards, and that tells you that x must have been 5, which is true. Okay, I'm going to wipe down this board and then we're going to come back and you'll have one to have a go at. Right, here we go with a different set of things in the boxes. Again, we're starting with x, and the first box this time does a take away 3. So in maths we write that as x minus 3, x take away 3. And then the next box does a times by 5. So we write that in maths as x minus 3 times 5. Or do we? I hope you can spot what's wrong with that. Of course, it needs the brackets. The times by 5 is times by all of that, not just the 3. So make sure you use brackets if you need them. Now, that's the bit of maths we're given, and as I said, an equation always needs an equals, so equals, and we're going to have equals 35 for that. So what I'd like you to do now is please pause the video and run that 35 back through the machine and see what x ends up as. Have a go at that now. Right, let's have a go. Let's put 35 into this first box. On the way along it was times by 5, so on the way back it is divide by 5, which means that 35 divided by 5, hopefully if you know your 5 and your 7 times table, that gives you a 7. And now the next box, on the way there it was take away 3, so on the way back it's add 3. And the answer we come out with is 10. X is equal to 10. We can check that if we put 10 in. 10 take away 3 is 7. 7 times 5 is 35. Yep, it works. So here's the way that you would actually be given it. This is the question you'd be given, and that is the answer you come out with. So on a question paper you might see it written like this. And you'd be asked to solve that. Solve means find the value of x that makes it work, and the value of 10 makes that work. Okay? You could also see that written with the 5 here. That also means a times by 5. Either's fine. If you're not happy, by the way, with the order in which we do things, the fact that when you start with the x, you do the take away 3 first, and then you do the times by 5. So starting with the x, we do the take away 3 first and then the times by 5. That's all the BODMAS or BIDMAS or PEMDAS, depending on where you are in the world, what you call it there. Again, there are Batty Boffin videos telling you all about that, so have a go with those if you're not sure. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I think I'm going to finish this video, and the next video will have a whole load of these for you to practice, so I'll see you then. Bye for now, Batty fans.